Without good creativity, just go to hell. This is a sentence posted by marketing guru Ye Maozhong at the company's doorstep. Bai Feng was reborn in 1990 and found that this phrase and Ye Maozhong were no longer present in this era. So, Bai Feng was the marketing godfather of this golden age. Zhou Xun. He's just a scammer. Chen Hong. No, he's a big scammer. Lu Xiaoli. No, he's a super big scammer. Chu Hongjie. There are many competitors in the advertising industry, and Bai Feng is the only man I have ever had the heart to kill. Yu Feihong. Even if killing is illegal, I also want to kill him. Keywords of the novel. Golden Age 1990 no pop-ups, Golden Age 1990 complete collection download, Golden Age 1990 latest chapter reading. Chapter 1. Bai Feng. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1 Bai Feng July 1990. Shenyang my hometown, brilliant lights on the road, streets and alleys, people come and go wearing the festive attire. It's already summer, but the weather in Shenyang is not very hot yet. Bai Feng, wearing sportswear, stood on the pedestrian bridge and laughed unconsciously when he heard this song that he had not heard for a long time. It seems that Lao Guo wrote about this song, and it's no problem to change the name of the city in the lyrics to something else. In fact, it has indeed been changed, it's just that other versions are not as popular as this version. Bai Feng remembers that this song was considered a city song, and it was frequently broadcasted on radio and television stations for a long time, especially after work. After about 20 years, it was rarely heard again, and after more than 20 years, this overpass also disappeared. At this moment, this intersection is very busy. To the west is the South Station, with a tank monument in front of it. To the east, you can reach Zhongshan Square and see the giant statue of his elderly family. To the south is the well-known commercial street Taiyuan Street, where you can see the Zhongxing building from the standing bridge, which is really impressive. To the north is the West Tower. No one could have imagined that after more than 20 years of continuous efforts, this intersection has finally become deserted, and the well-known commercial street has also cooled down. Bai Feng watched as the crowd streamed and the carriages and horses were noisy. Well, physically, 2 carriages and horses had just passed by, running alongside the bus, leaving behind a lot of donkey dung and eggs. Don't ask me why the carriage left donkey dung eggs. Even if the perpetrator appears to be a donkey, no matter what it was pulled, it is generally referred to as donkey dung eggs. Although it looked a bit chaotic, Bai Feng felt very popular. This era is really good. Bai Feng had inexplicable excitement in his eyes, but unfortunately, his stomach let out a growling protest. For lunch, let's eat first. At the moment, the Urban Express store doesn't have it yet. Well, let's take this one. He chose to walk east, and not far from the bridge was a noodle shop that he really liked. There are many noodle shops in Shenyang named Four Seasons, which later became popular on the internet. Many friends from other places should have heard of it. But the real-time honored brand is only called Four Seasons Noodles, and it doesn't sell stretched noodles, and now it doesn't sell chicken racks. It's just the order. There are many diners. Bai Feng skillfully paid to buy tickets, queued up, and when it was his turn, he began to guide the country. Big meat noodles, 2 bowls, both with chili. Yes, both with chili, but don't add too much. Auntie, could you give me a bowl of soup? I won't have to come back and add it again. 2 bowls of large meat noodles cost 7 yuan, which is already considered high consumption in this era. Nyola only costs 1 or 2 yuan, but spicy and soup can be added for free. Moreover, spicy and soup have minced meat, and the soup is also pure meat soup. When calculated, the cost-effectiveness is quite good. Since it can be added for free, it's not excessive for Bai Feng to ask for an extra bowl of soup, and it also avoids the risk of hitting other customers when carrying the bowl back. But today, the aunt saw that some of the people who were washing dishes over there couldn't afford it, so she coldly said, "What are you doing? Can you bring a bowl back and be exhausted? State-owned units really don't get used to anyone. When Bai Feng remembered, it seemed that a restaurant in the capital had hung a slogan these years. Our store never beats customers without reason. So, it's normal for customers to come and eat with a wrench, right? Recalling these Bai Feng, I feel a bit amused. Fortunately, there was an aunt nearby who interjected. You just take care of them as a child, and don't you know today is the last day of the college entrance examination? What are the many aspects of the college entrance examination? I just heard someone inside say that a child handed in his paper, cursing loudly. Ah! What do you support? I didn't do well in the college entrance examination, maybe I'm crazy. Which year won't one or two go crazy in the college entrance examination? Aunt Ma Xiao heard this and looked at Bai Feng. Obviously, the sportswear on the body played a role, which is the standard high school uniform. Auntie finally took out another bowl. Bai Feng naturally heard their conversation, but remained silent. The freshly cooked noodles were crystal clear, and the aunt poured a spoonful of beautiful large meat slices into each bowl. The sauce red ones were the skin and lean meat, while the amber ones were the fat, which was very tempting. It seems like she gave quite some extra. Another small spoonful of spicy sauzi, the meat foam mixed with spicy oil, makes people's appetite greatly increase. Finally, pouring soy sauce soup became the only flagship product of this store. Big meat noodles. Bai Feng said thank you, and the aunt replied that it was okay. A smile appeared on her face, and a small episode passed. Holding 3 bowls, I found a table, poured vinegar, and couldn't wait to take a bite. The sweetness of noodles, the fragrance of big meat, the spiciness of spicy seeds, and the strong aroma of meat soup complement each other. I haven't tasted this taste for about 10 years. I vaguely remember the last time I ate it, the chili had run out of minced meat, and that time I went back to Shin City to attend my father's funeral. My nose was a bit sore, and Bai Feng shook his head. That will happen in the future, it will take another 20 years. Eat noodles first. Like a storm inhaling, he flaunted 2 bowls wildly, and finally drank all the soup, which was his high school standard appetite. Don't underestimate these 2 bowls of noodles. In this era, state-owned restaurants may have a bad service attitude, but they are definitely large in quantity and affordable. When it comes to adding soup, the noodles and meat pile up like a small hill in the ocean bowl, as if there isn't much initial soup, so adding it won't work. Having eaten and drunk enough, Bai Feng sat trembling with his chopsticks. He is the cursed candidate. It's not that his quality is poor, isn't it that Bai Feng has been reborn? But it was reborn in the final exam room of the college entrance examination. When he saw the test paper, he thought he was getting angry. After more than 30 years, what he had learned in school had already been returned to the school. Bai Feng was originally a top student, also known as a top student later on. In the 1990s, the college entrance examination required filling out preferences before the exam, so he filled out 3 schools and was from Qingbei. Later, he was taken by the People's Congress and even got angry. Now, there is no play in Qingdagger. Fortunately, the massive amount of carbon water calmed Bai Feng down. He needs to figure out the future path. Bai Feng absolutely believes in the power of a diploma in this era, not to mention that he has already benefited a lot, but he is also very aware of his shortcomings. He has a young body, but his soul is a cunning scumbag in his 50s. Simply put, he no longer possesses strong learning ability, and even repeating a course is difficult to achieve success. Moreover, it is now 1990, which is truly a golden age. These days, there has been a flood of bad luck, and most of them are digging in state-owned gardens in northeast China. Later on, many of them became big shots, such as the median generation and Min Tian's husband. Bai Feng has only heard of the stories of these big shots, and he has no conditions to dig with these future big shots. However, with his far superior understanding of this era, it should not be a problem to quickly complete the primitive accumulation. However, for the time being, he has no intention of returning to the old path of his previous life. Before his rebirth, Bai Feng was a consultant. A consultant, in layman's terms, is a person who provides advice, like a military strategist in the Three Kingdoms. In many fields in the future, there will be consultants, just like Zhang Xiefeng can also be considered a consultant. However, there are mainly two major categories. One is financial consultants, who generally serve large private equity and public offerings. Another type is business-oriented, mainly serving enterprises. They also have another name. Marketing planning, or simply some, advertisers. Bai Feng prefers to be called an advertiser by others. Not all consultants are advertisers, but Bai Feng can responsibly say that well-known consultants are all advertisers. Moreover, the so-called consulting companies were originally engaged in advertising, such as the world's largest advertising company, Ogilvy, which later mainly engaged in consulting. Almost a decade later, consulting services are no longer limited to physical goods, such as movies, TV dramas, and variety shows. For example, a talk show company that had a big event had people from Ogilvy behind it. Aomei is a foreign monk, but in this profession, our local monks are also very strong. In Bai Feng's view, top domestic consultants can just gather a Huashan argument. Northern beggar Yu Shaoxing, Southern Emperor Zhu Jiating, Western poison Deng Delong, and Eastern evil Huazi brothers. Zhong Shentong, Ye Maozhong. Just mention their names, most ordinary people may not have heard of them. But mentioning some people or things, everyone is absolutely familiar with them. Yu Shaoxing is from northeast China and looks like an old man working in the fields. People who know him well call him Uncle Yu. But he is the king of agency, and most of the pharmaceutical advertisements that Chinese people can see are represented by him. He is not good at advertising creativity. Zhu Jiating is an advertising genius, and his wife's name is Chen Hong. Deng Delong is the god of positioning. Among these people, he likes to wear suits and ties the most, and has a friend named Wang Laoji. Huazi brothers, under the tutelage of Grandpa Yu, would they simply call him Dad in private? That's not a guarantee. After all, Grandpa Yu only dumped over 100 million orders when their company was established. Ye Maozhong wears a duckbill cap on all occasions. He is widely recognized as the godfather of marketing. Bai Feng is really familiar with his old path, but there are problems with this old path. The main issue is, I can't make much money from advertising now. It's like Ye Maozhong only got 1360 for an advertisement, and he won't work alone until 6 years later. So, Bai Feng is not in a hurry to follow the old path. Just as I was thinking, a small black and white TV in the noodle shop was playing an advertisement. Spring Blue air conditioning, leading quality. With a snap, the chopsticks fell off. Bai Feng stared at the TV intently, as if he had been immobilized. But in reality, his brain was spinning rapidly in shock. Many young people may not have seen it, but there is an advertisement for playing billiards. 6 red balls fell into their bags with a loud bang. Advertising slogan. Spring Blue air conditioning, a high-level choice. If we look at this advertisement from a future perspective, the vast majority of people will curse. Divine horse thing. Air conditioning advertisements don't talk about quality, don't talk about core technology. You're playing billiards, are you sick? However, Bai Feng is very clear that this advertisement is a groundbreaking work in the history of domestic marketing. This is also Ye Maozhong's first work, and it is also his work that achieved tremendous success with a stunning success. That's the 1,360 yuan work. Now, this advertisement is gone. Many memories are fiercely attacking him. Without good creativity, just go to hell. This is a sentence posted at the entrance of Ye Maozhong Company. Because of this sentence, Bai Feng couldn't help but slap his mouth. Shaking his mouth is indeed very painful, but in Ye Maozhong's company, it is very fair because Mr. Ye also slaps himself the hardest. Sometimes Ye Maozhong would shatter his glasses. In the original time and space, the Ye Maozhong company that Bai Feng joined 10 years later went their separate ways due to an incident. There are collaborations, conflicts, and sometimes he even wants to take the bird hat from that product. But if someone asks Bai Feng, who is the first person in the Chinese marketing industry, Bai Feng can still say, Ye Maozhong. There are countless people cursing him in the industry, and countless X2 people learning from him. Just like the Huazi brothers, they cursed, "I don't accept gifts during this year's holiday," which lowered the aesthetic of the entire advertising industry. Later on, they wrote, "You love me, I love you, grass." What a headache. Now, Bai Feng has confirmed that Ye Maozhong, the marketing godfather, no longer exists. If he didn't make that 1,360 yuan, he would become a painter. He told me personally. Ye's godfather no longer exists. I, Bai Feng, am the marketing godfather. By the way, I got messed up in the college entrance examination, and the result is that I was replenished here. Fate. You are such a clever little ghost. Excited heart, trembling hands, Bai Feng smiled. This smile the two aunties chatted while pouring meat and soup. You see, I still have vision. Hey, the pressure of the college entrance examination is really high. A good child, quite handsome young man, why is he so nervous? It should be said that the service attitude of these two aunties has improved in the future. But it was only for a period of time. New book opening, cute news seeking support, seeking collection, seeking votes, seeking follow-up reading. I have written back to Huayu, but the perspective of this book is different from before. The advertising industry is a black car, and I have been involved in it before writing the book. I have never dared to write it before, after all, I am just a small shrimp. This time, I want to make a new attempt, and I hope everyone likes it. End of this chapter. Chapter 2.16, But Fake Smile Girl. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This translator is experiencing an error, please try another translator. Chapter 3. Selling the color TV tower. How many steps are there in total? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. Selling the color TV tower. How many steps are there in total? In fact, Bai Feng went crazy by pretending and made a psychological suggestion. Selling color TV towers equals crazy. Selling TV tower advertisements is reasonable. Mr. Zhou Xun once said, if you want to open the window, you probably have to first remove the roof, so that they can reconcile and agree to open the window. This is actually the window-breaking effect in psychology. Advertising and psychology are closely related, and Su Guangtou once made a movie called Hypnosis Master, which also mentioned this matter. At present, it can be said that Bai Feng's broken window has been successful. But in fact, the color TV tower is not owned by your newspaper. Why do you sell this advertisement? The newspaper's advertisement for selling color TV towers sounds quite crazy. In Bai Feng's opinion, this is very reliable, and it is a very common advertising business model. This involves a word. Agency. People outside the industry cannot imagine how widespread agency is in the advertising industry. Let's put it this way, in the future, an advertising company is likely to have never had contact with a real advertiser from listing to going bankrupt. And this is an extremely common phenomenon in the advertising industry. Some people may not believe it, but Bai Feng can easily provide many examples. In the future, there will be an advertising company called Hanxi, which is at least among the top 3 in terms of production company size in China. If you open their website, they introduce themselves as follows. Over the years, we have provided high-quality services to multiple agency companies. They take pride in taking on agency work. Interestingly, this company has filmed a well-known advertisement. There is no middleman to profit from the price difference. What's even more interesting is that this job was given by Shidu, who himself is an agent and an intermediary. He certainly knows that there can't be no middleman, but if he tells a lie, he can earn 20 million. Why not tell it? When it comes to outdoor advertising in buildings, agency is absolutely necessary. Simply put, whether a building has advertising value is something that advertising companies discover. Just now, Bai Feng was pretending to be crazy, but it can also be seen that he was explaining the advertising value of color TV towers. Now, the key is up to Lao Dai, the editor-in-chief. The agency model is still in its infancy, and Grandpa Yu is still fooling the 5 elements needle. Fortunately, Bai Feng has some understanding of Lao Dai. I understand what Xiaofeng means now. Let's go talk to Liao Tai and act as intermediaries, just like the matchmaker. Editor Dai never thought of the word agent at all, what he thought of was matching seams. Almost the same meaning. Lu Qinghui was still a bit confused. Lao Dai, what are you talking about? Aren't we a newspaper? Lao Dai had already seen the business opportunity. We are indeed a newspaper, but this matter. It's beneficial for the operation of the color TV tower. Bai Feng cleverly added. Lao Dai clapped his hands happily and said, yes, yes. Lu Qinghui also understood. Nowadays, both the provincial and municipal governments attach great importance to this color TV tower. If the revenue of this color TV tower can be increased, the superior leaders will definitely be happy. But when the superior leader is happy, Lao Dai cannot be praised. Official fans. Lu Qinghui hinted inwardly, but naturally didn't say anything. Lao Dai was already in a state of glowing eyes. How much does this advertisement cost? Bai Feng continued, at least it can sell for several 100,000. How many 100,000? Mom was surprised and said, is it really fake? These days, hundreds of thousands are not a small sum of money. Their newspaper only costs a few hundred yuan per advertising space, and TV stations can do it for a few thousand yuan, which is still calculated by the minute. Of course, Bai Feng is well aware that advertising will become increasingly expensive in the coming years, rolling upwards. The guy confidently patted his chest and said, this good color TV tower costs 300,000 yuan a year. Lao Dai, if I can sell this tower advertising for 300,000 yuan, do you have to give my mom a raise? As soon as these words were spoken, Lao Dai had not yet reacted, but his mother became anxious. Why are you selling it? It's normal for her to not understand, but Lao Dai has already understood everything. I'm not in charge of raising salaries, at most we can add bonuses. Has it reached the stage of opening conditions yet? Upon hearing these, Lu Qinghui's emotions were very complicated. My son is really filial. Even if he's crazy, he still thinks of me as a mother. But it changed instantly. My son doesn't have any nerves. Absolutely not. Mom's expression changed for a moment, and Bai Feng couldn't figure it out. Fortunately, Lao Dai didn't finish speaking. On second thought, it seems like our newspaper is here to do this. Establish a new company and list it under our newspaper office, Bai Feng said in a second. As soon as he said this, Lao Dai slapped his thigh. Right, right. Startled my mother, she wanted to say something but didn't know how to interrupt. The editor-in-chief, Lao Dai, was already very excited now, but seeing Lu Qinghui's gaze, he could only say. Xiaofeng, I can see it clearly now. You have indeed done a lot of preparation work, which is not bad. Cough, I won't say much more, there is still a lot of work to do. You can have a good chat with your mother. After speaking, Lao Dai left happily. Mom's mind was filled with question marks, and she cast a glance at her son to let him fully understand. Bai Feng naturally understood and said seriously, Mom, now it's reform and opening up, and the whole country is revitalizing the economy. We need to liberate our minds, especially in old industrial bases. We need to make changes first, so that we can play a model and leading role. Wow, how many news broadcasts have you watched? I'm more familiar with this set of words than you are. Mom made it clear that she didn't want to listen to clichés. Bai Feng, however, had a look of injustice on his face. What he just said was not a false illusion, but a very important foundation. If it weren't for the above background, Bai Feng wouldn't have raised such a matter in front of Lao Dai and his mother. It's normal for my mother to want to listen to dry goods. Bai Feng continued, if this deal is successful, wouldn't it be an advanced model? In the future, newspapers can follow suit and not only sell advertisements for color TV towers, but also other products. Isn't this about revitalizing the economy? Mom, you are a newspaper. Writing about this successful experience will have any impact. Can I explain it more? Lu Qinghui understood this time. Nowadays, Shenzhen still looks quite prosperous, but as a newspaper, one can naturally grasp a lot of information. Many factories are facing difficulties, and the wages of workers may seem quite high, but in reality, they are paid 60%. Economic issues are not something that can be explained clearly in just one or two sentences. For example, Shenzhen's products have a good reputation and are quite popular, but some companies are running out of business due to triangle bonds. Lu Qinghui doesn't understand economic issues very well, but she knows that at least a change needs to be made. If it's really as my son said, it's definitely a big good thing. Establishing a model, and even potentially being promoted. Lao Dai is not allowed to give a presentation and introduce advanced experience at the conference. No wonder you're so focused. Lu Qinghui's ideas are also limited by the times. She believes that attending the conference to give a presentation is honorable and meaningful. She just didn't know that her son was actually more concerned about making money. However, there is one more question for mothers. Why did you sell this advertisement? Bai Feng chuckled and said, old Dai Ken must have thought that he was selling advertisements, and that company was also a cover. But I'm sure he can't sell it. As soon as she said this, Mom chuckled and said, why do you say that about Uncle Dai? Bai Feng sighed lightly and said, after all, Lao Dai is a literati. Although he has a passion for changing the current situation, he definitely can't handle commercial matters. This statement is a bit outdated, and my mother naturally finds it strange. He can't do it, can you? Cough. Bai Feng coughed twice, it was close, almost revealing his true self. Did I prepare before? I read some relevant books in the library, at least I know who to look for to advertise for. Mom nodded, her son was already a studious child. Bai Feng caught the change in his mother's expression and breathed a sigh of relief. But then, why are you so happy when you mention affiliation, Lao Dai? Bai Feng's answer was very straightforward. Can you make money? Mom still doesn't quite understand, can you make money by hanging on? Bai Feng could only speak more clearly, there is a affiliation fee, and this money is not yet. Is the money that is associated with it the money that is aligned with it? Mom finally understood, and she immediately realized that she really needed a company to be affiliated with. The color TV tower is under the jurisdiction of the provincial television station and is a sister unit of the propaganda outlet. It looks down but not up. On the table. Lao Dai, are you afraid that your newspaper asked us for money? Even Lu Qinghui can think of those scenes, so it's unlikely that our editor-in-chief will be able to save face and raise money. So, my son is right. Lao Dai, that guy, can't even talk about this business. But Bai Feng emphasized, don't say anything about matching seams, you should call it an agent. The word seam was originally neutral, but it cannot withstand the fact that many bad guys are using it now, which means it has been endowed with evil energy. In addition, although it has been many years since the reform, the crime of speculation will not be abolished until 1997. Lu Qinghui naturally understood her son's intention and immediately agreed to always be an agent. However, by now, Lu Qinghui found that her son seemed quite normal. The idea of selling TV tower advertisements initially sounded amazing, but when combined with all of these, it was surprisingly reasonable. But Lu Qinghui is still a bit worried. Son, can you really negotiate this business deal? This concern is normal. Bai Feng took his mother's hand and said, Mom, you can rest assured. I have absolute confidence. Upon hearing these words, Lu Qinghui felt warm in her heart and said, My son has really grown up. This sentence is what Bai Feng wants to hear the most. Bai Feng wanted to prove to his parents that he had the ability to survive by selling advertisements for color TV towers. I can earn money, which means I can survive in this society, so I have grown up. This is the key to his plan not to repeat. In such an excited mood, Bai Feng confidently said. This time, not only will I make money for the newspaper, but I can also make tens of thousands of yuan for our family. Mom, just watch it out. How many tens of thousands of yuan? Lu Qinghui, who just thought her son was normal, feels like a roller coaster at this moment. Son, even if you're really crazy, your parents will take care of you for a lifetime. Some readers know about the color TV tower. Don't worry, let Heish write it carefully. Thank you all for your support. Thank you very much. That's probably about to be signed. If you can vote, just vote. Thank you very much. I also want to follow up on it. Thank you very much. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. My laid-off worker father. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. My laid-off worker father. I didn't show any acting skills in the last paragraph, did I? Bai Feng came out of the newspaper office to wait for the bus, and he couldn't help but recall the strange look in his mother's eyes just now. Full of strong love. But it's strange. While lost in thought, Bai Feng caught a pair of eyes again. These eyes are very interesting, and its owner seems to be some shy little animal. He just glanced at Bai Feng and then ran away. Bai Feng naturally looked along, although he only saw a profile, he couldn't help but curl up the corner of his mouth. It's Zhou Xun, obviously she has completed the work of a calendar model. It's completely different from when she used to shoot her calendar. She is now wearing a red Plum Blossom brand sportswear, which is still quite popular today and looks better than Bai Feng's school uniform. My hair was simply tied in a ponytail, and the thick lipstick was gone from my face. The previous heavy makeup was also removed, highlighting a clean appearance. On the calendar, she looks like a female PR in her 20s. Yes, there is such a TV drama called PR Miss, which is quite popular. She's like a female student now. Oh no, she's just a female student. In Bai Feng's view, this is much stronger than before. There is also a mature woman beside her, probably her teacher. The two are chatting. The photo was taken well this time. The key is the upcoming audition, you have to be prepared. That's a big factory, and this opportunity is quite good. Actually, I didn't hear it very clearly, but Bai Feng already had a rough inference. Zhou Gongzi's northward trip this time should not only be for shooting calendars, but it is likely that he will also take on advertising. Many friends may not be very clear that Shenzhen was actually the center of our domestic advertising industry for a considerable period of time. There are many advertising companies in this city, and they have also filmed many classic advertisements. For example, advertisements from several major airlines in China, as well as the instant noodle advertisement from teacher Chen Pei, and the advertisement for Qin Chi liquor from Jiangwan. The advertisement for Qin Chi liquor is called My Son, and Jiangwan, dressed in a decent tailcoat, commands a segment of My Son. This advertisement may seem inexplicable, but Jiangwan was paid 10 million yuan for the film, and he paid personal income tax in Shenyang at the time, which made headlines. At that time, the advertising industry in Shenzhen was indeed brilliant, but later on, everything that could go was gone, mainly going to the cities of Mo and D. I felt inexplicably saddened. But at this moment, those eyes looked back. Bai Feng looked back. She dodged again. Bai Feng felt that staring at someone like this didn't seem good, so he shifted his gaze away. But within 2 minutes, she looked over again. Bai Feng looked back again. She dodged again. What is the situation? At this moment, the bus arrived. Unexpectedly, they had a car. It should be intentional. Zhou Xun followed the teacher and got into the car from another car door. At this time, there are buses with one section and two sections connected together, especially those with big braids, which are usually two sections. Often, this type of two-door system consists of approximately 3 doors, without the concept of front up and back down. If you want to secure a seat, then everyone should rely on their abilities and see who can squeeze better. Bai Feng is not tired, and he ate 2 bowls of big meat noodles. Standing there is just enough to digest. So, he was almost the last to get on the car, far away from the girl Zhou Xun, and could hardly see her. The car travels relatively slowly, but even if it is slow, it will still arrive at the station. After stopping for 2 stops, the number of people on this bus decreased significantly. That's right, it's not the rush hour for work now, and there aren't as many old men and women in Shenyang as there were later. The newspaper station has a lot of people, but there won't be many people after that. The long 2 buses gradually became empty. Bai Feng deliberately stood at the connection between the 2 carriages, similar to a train. The floor at this connection was a circular iron plate that would rotate as the car moved. If he took a big turn, it would be a big turn and very interesting. It was his favorite place to stand when he was young. Bai Feng has not taken a bus for many years, and this old-fashioned bus is even more dusty in his memory. At this moment, this action is somewhat childish. As a matter of course, I only graduated from high school in 2019. The boy's face was full of smiles, but he seemed to feel something. Bai Feng couldn't help but turn his head to look over, and suddenly he met the gaze again. It's interesting that she immediately dodged this pair. Not a carriage, are you still looking at me? The young man's character has become stronger and stronger, so this time he might as well just watch. Stare at me without blinking. As an old scumbag in his 50s, Bai Feng naturally saw clearly that this kid was too young. This is not the point is competition. Bai Feng knew that Zhou Xun knew I was looking at her. It depends on whether she can look at me. As long as she watches, she loses. The child's desire to win. But interestingly, it seems that Bai Feng can be certain that Zhou Xun also wants to win. That's it, the 2 of them had a virtual competition. Finally, after another stop, she looked over. In an instant, he turned his head again, but this time it was much faster than before, and the range of movements naturally increased. What's wrong with you? No, it's nothing. The female teacher noticed something, but we couldn't tell her where to say anything. Fortunately, they have arrived at the station. Bai Feng pursued with victory. Even if someone got off the car, he still kept an eye on them. As a result, Mr. Zhou gave him a glare. Anger is not low. Anyway, I won. It's true that he's a little playful, but isn't he just graduating from high school now? In fact, even if later people reached middle age, Bai Feng sometimes exhibited some childish behavior. There was a time when he really liked the movie Daydreamer, so he became interested in skateboarding. Then, I became friends with an attending orthopedic doctor. The other party has always been curious, why did a middle-aged man break his leg like that? That's a pair of good legs, and you're earning millions of dollars. Bai Feng just said that he fell from bed to the ground and didn't remember what happened in his sleep. This is his first time lying for no money since becoming an advertiser. But for the upcoming TV tower advertising sales plan, he must mature. The Bai family lives in a high-rise building. Of course, it is a house allocated by the unit. Being able to live in a building in this era is still quite enviable. But this house was built in the 1970s. Small area, public bathroom, cooking in the hallway, poor sound insulation, cold in winter, hot in summer. The rest are all advantages. Fortunately, I remember we need to renovate the heating pipes recently. Bai Feng opened the door with the key hanging around his neck, and he saw the unfamiliar and familiar appearance of his home. The yellowed old furniture, a 14-inch black and white TV, a Yenwu recorder, and the folded dining table. After closing the door, my eyes were inexplicably moist. My parents have no other income besides salary, bonuses, and company benefits, even if they have the opportunity. For example, it's completely legal. Dad has also been poached by private enterprises in the South, but he didn't go either. He just said that the factory still needs him. It can also be said that they are honest people who believe in their country. They believe that a person's life is not just about making money. Bai Feng is different, feeling touched by the scenery. I still don't think much about it. Wiping his face, Bai Feng returned to his small room, which could only accommodate a bed and a small table. He found a pen and paper, intending to write a proposal. He had already determined who to sell the TV tower advertisement to for a long time. Write 4 large characters first. Snow beer. Before leaving work, Bai Bing received a call from his wife, saying that there was something to discuss. Just never expected, old Bai. As you know, the college entrance examination is like crossing a single plank bridge with thousands of troops and horses. Well, daughter.in.law, I know. Isn't it? Xiao Feng is currently in a very unstable mood and may have failed the exam. I messed up this time, come back next year. What's the point here? You said it's easy. Our son has such a high heart. Yes, this child has had a strong self-esteem since childhood, and I'm afraid he can't accept it. Wife, you have experience in this area, haven't you reported it before? Old Bai, do you want our family to be reported as well? How could that be? You don't even know how filial our son is. He said he wants to earn tens of thousands of yuan for his family. How many tens of thousands of yuan? Is he crazy? You're crazy. I said the wrong thing. I'll do whatever you say. Let's just follow him as much as possible. Once this period is over, maybe we can figure it out. This is easy to handle. Only then did Bai Bing and Lu Qinghui return home. Just as I opened the door, I saw my son Bai Feng standing in front of me. Bai Bing tried his best to squeeze out a smile. Lu Qinghui is naturally the same. But their expressions fell into Bai Feng's eyes, especially their father's expression. The most profound impression of Bai Feng's father came from the big event that happened a few years later. That is a major event that has affected countless families. Some people grit their teeth and sing from scratch, while others grit their teeth and cannot sing it out. As an advanced member of the factory, we should also play a model and leading role in such times. Dad was one of the first batch of laid-off workers in the factory. Bai Feng had already started working at that time, and he only found out about it after returning during the Chinese New Year. At that time, my father was like this, his smile was squeezed out. Of course, Bai Feng understands what Dad means. He wants to say, I'm fine, it's pretty good. But unlike at this moment, there was an effort in the eyes that could not conceal the confusion. That's what a person looks like without knowing what they should do. Bai Feng will never forget. After this incident, Bai Feng resigned and became an advertiser, focusing solely on making money. And now, the cunning middle-aged man has not seen his father for over a decade. On the day he left, he closed the door and cried alone. That day, he finally realized that he could cry uncontrollably. In fact, this alone is enough to shatter his entire disguise. Bai Feng hugged his parents and buried his head, tears streaming down his face. When his son cried, Bai Bing and Lu Qinghui also shed tears. However, Bai Bing looked at his wife. Has my son's situation become so serious? Lu Qinghui wiped away her tears and nodded. Bai Feng naturally didn't know what his parents were making eye contact with. He cried so much, his emotions were released a lot, and he felt quite good. So, it's time to get down to business. Dad, Mom, give me 1,000 yuan. After crying, you want money, it's still a sum of money as big as 1,000 yuan. If it were a regular dish, it would be a famous dish. Stir-fried meat with a broom. But what did you say before? Okay. Bai Bing agreed happily. Lu Qinghui, however, felt a bit embarrassed. This money. Won't we exchange the color TV? Bai Feng clearly knew that his family had the money to exchange the color TV, so, when I make the money, I'll replace it with a big color TV for my family. It's okay for him not to say this, but as soon as he said this, Bai Bing felt even more serious about his son's situation. Take it out. Lu Qinghui had no choice but to flip through the drawers and take out a passbook. Unexpectedly, Bai Bing went all out. Dad will give you an additional 500. I saw him rummaging through every nook and cranny at home, as if by magic, creating a few big tickets. Without saying a word, Bai Feng swept away his passbook and money, and then went back to the house to close the door. Outside this door, wow. Old Bai. You're running a small vault. No, I'm saving it for a bigger TV too. Oh, to see that Sudaji. No, really not. Sudaji can't compare to my wife. Still lying here. Wife, I was wrong, can't I still? When writing this paragraph, there are always many images in my mind, and after finishing, I realize that tears are streaming down my face. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Do you want to spend money on a color TV tower? I'll teach you. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. Do you want to spend money on a color TV tower? I'll teach you. 3 days later, Jieshi Xingong Street. A young man in a suit got off the bus. He has a slightly green complexion, but a mature temperament. He is naturally Bai Feng. The reason why he wants money is that he still needs 1,000 yuan, and the suit on Bai Feng's body accounts for a part of it. In the future, those wearing ready-to-wear suits will likely be seen as insurance sellers or real estate agents. But in the present, wearing a suit, whether it's ready-to-wear or custom-made, everyone will unconsciously look up. What Bai Feng wants more is the sense of maturity that suits can bring to him. Before going out, I lit my dad's 2 cigarettes and smoked them for half a day, both of which tasted good. Steal some more hair oil and make your hair more straight. Bai Feng himself is very upright, and after such adjustments, he feels like a god of gambling. Whether it's Phage or Dawn, it's probably the latter. He's not doing this to show off his handsomeness. He really can't let the other person treat him like a child, and then he won't be able to deceive him anymore. As expected. During the 3 days, Lao Dai did a lot of things. After all, it was the sister unit of the propaganda, and when Lao Dai found the aspect of the color TV tower, he quickly agreed. If your youth daily can help pull up advertisements, then of course we would be happy. The management unit of the color TV tower is a technical department of Liao Tai. Fundamentally, this tower is designed for transmitting and receiving signals. And for some related commercial developments, such as revolving restaurants and others, this technical department is also feeling its way across the river. Tower advertising, in other words, means painting the tower body, which also has a protective effect. If we could earn hundreds of thousands more, it would be a complete windfall. Simply signing a contract, even if you have obtained the agency rights for the TV tower advertisement. As Bai Feng had thought, Lao Dai was not suitable for business negotiations. Bai Feng didn't hide anything, he directly told Lao Dai who the target customer was. Of course, this is also necessary. Bai Feng needs Lao Dai to help him make a front stop. If you are a grassroots salesperson in the advertising industry, although many companies give you the title of customer manager, everyone knows in their hearts. Of course, Don't underestimate salespeople, even though they have high liquidity but high income. If a salesperson wants to negotiate a project and doesn't have a strong network, they can only start at the grassroots level of the target customer. That is, when communicating with the planning department of the other party, it is often a small planner who first connects. Afterwards, gradually connect step by step, from planning to the sales department. Generally speaking, the person who can ultimately approve an advertising case is the head of the sales department. In terms of level, it is not the vice president, but the president. Of course, there are also some companies that are quite unique, but the vast majority are like this. At this stage, grassroots salespeople should go to their superiors, direct supervisors, vice presidents, or even presidents. Some cases will get bigger and bigger, and if the amount exceeds 100 million, it means that the big bosses from both sides will come forward and negotiate with each other. An advertising business is probably based on the above process, and Bai Feng cannot follow this process now. He doesn't have that much time to waste, and furthermore, this era is not as complex as it was later. Nowadays, Snow Beer is still a city brewery, and the sales department is in charge of supply and marketing. As a newspaper editor-in-chief, Lao Dai had already had advertising dealings with the factory, so it was easy to contact the head of the supply and marketing department. In this way, it is equivalent to helping Bai Feng save a lot of clearance work. But Lao Dai made a big mistake. I quoted the price of this product directly to the department head, 30 million yuan per year. Bai Feng was not surprised to know about this matter. I have known for a long time what kind of person you are, Lao Dai. You are just a literati, and talking about business is nothing. The psychological target price of 300,000 yuan should be quoted at least 600,000 yuan when quoting. Even 1 million is enough. It's better to report higher, because it's easier for everyone to negotiate later and give the other party a discount. In the advertising industry, high discounts are an open secret, and everyone is asking exorbitant prices to pay back. Have you watched the most famous auction in human history, the wheelchair auction? You shouted 5,000, I fell the hammer. The psychological price is 300,000 yuan. What if the other party drops the hammer when it comes to 500,000 yuan? Of course, Lao Dai still doesn't know that he has become a salesperson for Bai Feng. However, since Bai Feng had already had psychological expectations, he would not criticize Lao Dai. Moreover, many salespeople are actually unaware that the price bottom line offered by the company is still far from the true bottom line. The city brewery has not yet been taken over by a major state-owned enterprise. In fact, many enterprises in northeast China have changed their storefronts like this. Especially in the state of Liaoning, they have always regarded themselves as electors. Isn't it true that one's own belongs to the country? Don't doubt this sentiment. Look at the name of this street. This is Xingdong Street, and there are many streets with the word Gong, and connecting the first character of these streets together is Zhen, Xing, Tai, Shi, Bao, Wei, Zhu, Guo. Also, heat, love, ancestor, country, brocade, embroidery, front, Cheng. There are also 4 main roads. Build, establish, make achievements, and honor. In the past, the people of the whole country thought it was very honorable. Tieshi is the Tieshi of the people of the whole country, and many cities have places named after it. I don't know why when I think of these, it feels like I'm back in that passionate era. Bai Feng should still focus on his own affairs at the moment. I quickly found the supply and marketing department, explained my purpose, and then entered the department head's office to have a private conversation with him. Comrade Bai Feng, hello. Hello, Chief Wang. Oh my, I didn't expect you, Comrade Bai, to be so young. We are all quite young in the advertising industry, Chief Wang. I see you're only in your 30s, so you're in charge of the supply and marketing department at such a young age. Your future is limitless. Haha. Comrade Bai, I'm already in my 40s. Really? I didn't even see it. Chief Wang's name is Wang Jinju. He is a shrewd and capable person who has been in charge of the supply and marketing department since his 40s, which is indeed rare. However, he could also tell that this Bai Feng was very talkative. The brand of snow beer is very popular, and the product can be said to be in short supply, but advertising should still be done. For beer companies, summer is definitely the most crucial season. The current Northeast does not enter summer as early as in the future, and there is no El Nino phenomenon yet. The real hot weather is in August. The marketing campaign must be prepared in July and launched in one go when August arrives. There are too many beer companies in Northeast China, and almost every city has its own brewery. The name of the snow dragon is big, but it is difficult for a strong dragon to defeat a local snake. It will definitely be a fierce melee by then. Bai Feng confirmed early on that the supply and marketing department definitely had a large sum of money, and his entire plan was for this money. Regarding the advertisement for that TV tower, Director Wang didn't hesitate to get to the point. Bai Feng was also very straightforward. He opened his briefcase and handed over a stack of paper. The printed one cost a lot of money, and this is the proposal he wrote. Actually, at this point, it's even the PPT session. However, veteran professionals in the workplace definitely know the value of PPTs. It just doesn't have much value, and the key to a transaction is not in this aspect. But this thing cannot be ignored, just like this time, he has to write down the population, buildings, main roads, and other transportation conditions near the color TV tower. Even the number of media reports on this tower, as well as TV ratings, newspaper circulation, and so on. Population, buildings, and circulation data are easy to handle, but some of them are really difficult to handle, so editor. In fact, many companies in the advertising industry compile data, which is also inevitable. Many data cannot be compiled without compilation. Let's take this advertisement for the color TV tower body. For passers-by, do they have to look up to see the snow-covered beer on it? We can know the approximate number of people passing by, but who knows how many of these people will look up? How could this probability be accurate, and the tower is still so high? The closer you are to see it, the higher you have to lift it. It's so uncomfortable. But this data must be written. This is crucial data for advertisers, how to proceed without writing it down. Bai Feng wrote it. However, Bai Feng wrote this head-up probability data as follows. This probability calculation model comes from the survey report on outdoor billboards by the world's largest advertising company, Ogilvy. This move is called bringing disaster to the east. If you think there's a problem with my data, you can go find Ogilvy. Sure enough, Chief Wang nodded while looking. But Bai Feng is very clear that the two most crucial factors in completing an advertising business transaction are trust, price. Comrade Bai is really young and talented. This information is written so well that I want to stay, okay? Of course, not a problem. Okay. Director Wang stopped looking at the stack of papers and turned to Bai Feng. I heard from editor Dai that it costs 300,000 yuan per year. Upon hearing this, Bai Feng smiled. He knew that the most critical moment of this business had arrived, and Chief Wang received the information. The underlying message of this action was: our snow beer is interested in this TV tower advertisement. Yes, that's the value of PPT. Now, it's the price issue. Chief Wang's meaning is: 300,000 yuan per year is too expensive, you have to lower the price. Bai Feng's answer was exceptionally astonishing. And the production cost is also 300,000 yuan. Good guy. Not only did it not lower the price, but it also included a production fee. Chief Wang's expression changed a few times, but in the end, he managed to squeeze out a smile. I am familiar with editor Dai, and the production cost is reasonable, but this price has been on TV for a long time. It's almost as stated, they can't accept this price. But Bai Feng smiled. Director Wang, let's brush up the word Snow White beer. We won't give this money the next year. Can we remove the paint from the color TV tower? As soon as he said this, Director Wang was taken aback and then praised. Amazing. He wasn't a fool, he understood in an instant. 300000 is not a year, it can be 2 years, 3 years, or 4 to 5 years. Upon seeing Director Wang's reaction, Bai Feng found out that it was stable. But he said to himself, this little trick was created by you. Regarding the advertisement for the color TV tower, in the original time and space, any citizen of Shenyang knew that it was painted with snow beer. Many people just don't know that breweries have been prostitution for several years. Bai Feng also later became an advertising talent to hear this story, when a group of people drank and boasted as a joke. He immediately had the entire plan when he saw the bare color TV tower on the bus before. However, this white prostitution of the color TV tower is also a benefit for the brewery, and even the guy who always wears it doesn't understand the seams. So, Bai Feng had no intention of making money in this 300,000 yuan from the beginning. What he is interested in is, although Director Wang was very happy, he quickly said, Comrade Bai, the production cost of our snow brewery is too high, as it consists of 4 big characters, 8 characters for 2 noodles, and 300,000 yuan for 8 characters. Of course it's high, but if it weren't for that height, I wouldn't be interested in it, Bai Feng. The production cost is indeed not low, but if the production cost is not 300000, it may be difficult as we discussed earlier. Bai Feng means that without this high production cost, there would be no way to go for free. Chief Wang was naturally puzzled. Why is this? Bai Feng chuckled and waited for Chief Wang to ask this question. I have to teach you how to play this TV tower for free. Thank you for the reward from Starry Sky Story 110, the first reward for this book. Thank you very much. Thank you for sending your love with tears, 5,000 yuan. Sincerely thank you. Thank you very much for the reward of robot blood. Don't worry, everyone, in the next chapter. I saw something yesterday and tried to add it. End of this chapter. What are you looking at in chapter 6? You are listening at Novel Full.audio. What are you looking at in chapter 6? Wang Ku. Oh my, I'm also clumsy. It's too awkward for Chief Wang to call me Brother Wang. I'm young, can I call him Brother Wang? No problem, Brother Bai. Chief Wang is obviously very satisfied with the matter of white prostitution, but the production cost is indeed a bit difficult to accept. Bai Feng understood very well in his heart, so this matter must be deceived, cough cough, it must be said clearly. Wang, first of all, let's be clear. Although we are painting the color TV tower, the paint we are painting must be good, and the characters must be big enough, right? Of course. Chief Wang nodded, but that was not enough. Bai Feng nodded and said, our color TV tower is so tall, ranking first in Asia. It's still newly built, and many leaders are watching. Leadership. After listening, Chief Wang pondered for a moment and smiled, patting Bai Feng's shoulder. Brother, you're so thoughtful. Chief Wang's smile was very meaningful, and Bai Feng could tell that he probably understood. What Bai Feng just said, the most crucial thing is naturally to show it to the leaders. There is something inside. Outdoor billboards, in the future, will be placed on both sides of highways and will be very large. The most sought-after billboards of this type are located near the airport. The price is also the highest, not to mention discounts, some even need to increase in price. So, does such a billboard greatly promote the sales of a company's products? Didn't the second generation say that there aren't many people in China who have flown before, and there is also a probability of looking up, even if passing by, they may not see it? So, how could this kind of advertisement be intended for ordinary consumers? This type of advertisement is actually intended for specific people to see. It's for the big leader or boss of the advertiser's company to see. They have to fly frequently, so there is a high chance of seeing such billboards. When a big leader or boss sees such an advertisement, they will have the following thoughts in their hearts. My sales team is working hard. Not only that, but it can also be done on the building outside the window of the boss's office of the first-party company. In short, there are many methods. And this routine represents another important factor in an advertising transaction. Trust. You bought my advertisement and it made me successful. I let your boss see that you are working hard and achieving success. Mutual achievement is the key to trust. Of course, there is also a special mutual achievement. Jay plays ball, Alan sings. They each did their own thing and insisted on showing off in each other's field. Actually, it's pretty good, at least it brings a lot of joy to everyone. Bai Feng mentioned that the leaders could see it, but this did not explain the high production cost. But this is precisely his brilliance, as he chose to gain the trust of Chief Wang first. You know, this is not easy. If the salesperson has a good relationship with Party A, such as friends, classmates, or relatives, this trust issue can be directly ignored. Bai Feng has seen the chairman of Party A arrange for his children to work as salespeople in the other party's advertising company, saying that they should start from the grassroots and endure more hardships. As a result, it wasn't long before a single order worth over 100 million came over. Are you suffering from this? It's clear that you're getting a commission. Fat and water don't flow into the fields of outsiders. But some people gain trust by working hard with their own lives. It's like a submarine, experts say it can only dive over 1,000 meters, but the CEO insists on diving over 4,000 meters. Experts, why don't you shut up? Dismissal. Controlling this thing is just a game controller, does it look too unreliable? What are you afraid of? My CEO, come down with everyone. Rich people are usually not fools, but when you see them doing the same, trust them. Result Bai Feng only mentioned the leadership and achieved such results, which is already quite impressive. But the next is the key. Wang, do you know about renting a house in RB? Ah. Director Wang never expected this topic to reach little RB's side. Bai Feng continued to explain, little RB has many rules for renting a house, and one of them is a gift money, which means that the tenant needs to give the landlord a separate amount of money. Let me put it simply. Based on Tokyo's monthly rent of 100,000 yen, the first-month tenant needs to give at least 200,000 or 300,000 yen, or even more. The miscellaneous expenses are very high, but the gift money is basically equivalent to 1 month's rent. This. Director Wang had already thought of something upon hearing this. Bai Feng asked, Brother Wang, why do you think the landlord wants this gift? Then he asked himself and answered, isn't it because he wants tenants to be stable? Let them keep renting their own house, don't you? Upon hearing this, Chief Wang laughed and said, I understand. The color TV tower is the landlord. We are tenants, and if we spend more money, they will think that we definitely want to keep advertising going for a long time. That's the truth, Bai Feng nodded with a smile. In fact, this is indeed a theory of psychology. But that's not enough. 300,000 words on the brush are for high-altitude operations, and it's not easy to shovel them off. It costs at least tens of thousands of yuan. They are just a technical department, and it's impossible for them to have this budget. Right. That's it. Chief Wang had already burst into laughter. Bai Feng hasn't finished speaking yet. Brother Wang, you must have been to the Forbidden City, haven't you? If you want to enter, you have to step over the threshold. When I was a child, I had to hold my parents' hands even when the threshold was high. 30,000 years is a threshold, but if we add another 300,000, this threshold will be very high. Our Northeast is an old industrial base, and heavy industrial enterprises do not need to do this kind of advertising. Brother Wang, you know more about the beer industry than I do. Which company do you think can cross this threshold? Upon hearing this, Chief Wang gave a thumbs up. Brother, let's settle this matter. The advertisement for the color TV tower is from our brewery. Business negotiation successful. It was agreed upon, but it was not agreed upon either. Bai Feng had a happy expression on his face. He shook hands with Chief Wang, but said one thing. Brother Wang, you have to leave the task of painting the color TV tower to me. This made Chief Wang's face show a strange expression. Coming out of the brewery, Bai Feng still had a cheerful expression on his face. When Chief Wang said goodbye to Bai Feng, he was also happy. But Bai Feng is very clear that Chief Wang is an old fogey, and he has definitely seen the key to this advertising of the color TV tower. Even if the color TV tower is high and working at heights is difficult. It can be scrolled with 8 large characters, not even up to 300,000. Painting is definitely the most profitable part of this business. Bai Feng had long planned to earn money from painting. Your brewery is fooling people's color TV towers for nothing, and I, Bai Feng, am deceiving your brewery. Isn't this quite fair? But Bai Feng was very certain that Chief Wang was already calculating in his mind how to get the most profitable job into his own hands. A shrewd and capable person, after hearing so many reasons from Bai Feng that the production cost must be 300,000 yuan. He can't be unmoved by the production cost. On the contrary, Bai Feng's words were actually intentionally inducing Chief Wang to have such thoughts. What Bai Feng needs to do next is to stifle the idea of Director Wang. Since all of this has been planned for a long time, Bai Feng has actually started. The last words to Chief Wang were the beginning of suffocation. Bai Feng's words are actually very skillful. And this technique is that there is no technique at all. It's just stiff, it's straightforward, it's simply that I want this painting job. But this laid the groundwork for his next steps. Bai Feng was thinking about it, but felt something again, so he turned his head to look. Zhou Xun was staring at him with a pair of big eyes. Coincidentally, it's not. At this moment, she looked plain and upright, but Bai Feng felt that this was excellent. She was originally a young girl, so why pretend to be mature? But the way she looked at Bai Feng was really. Bai Feng didn't want to be outdone and looked at her without looking at her. It's really strange that two people are not far apart, just looking at each other like this. Seems to be competing like before. Finally, Mr. Zhou spoke up. What are you looking at? Upon hearing these words, Bai Feng felt a strong desire to laugh. On the streets of Xincheng, there is a fixed answer to this question. But he chose something else. Those from other places don't seem to learn at all. Zhou Xun blushed slightly when he said so. What's wrong with people from other cities? Can you bully people in your big city? She spoke much better now than she did later on. I've probably heard that her voice was caused by smoking. This more girlish voice is more suitable for her. When did I bully someone? Bai Feng did not realize that he had bullied her. Zhou Xun was furious. What are you always looking at me for? You're a man, you're looking at a little girl. Bai Feng was amused by her words and said, you know you're too young. He is truly a cunning old scumbag. Zhou Xun didn't realize that the words he just said about the goods were quite vulgar, so he continued to say, you look at me like that, you're very rogue, you know. Bai Feng wanted to laugh even more and said, what, I see you, I'm just a thug. Well. Anyway, you are. He insisted firmly. It's strange, how do you know I'm looking at you? I saw it. Zhou Xun was about to wave his little fist. How do you know I'm looking at you if you don't look at me? Another counterattack. You. It's clearly you who looked at me first. How can you prove that I saw you first? That's what you saw first. Okay, let me see you first, but you also see me, right? As you said, I see you, I am a rogue. So if you see me, aren't you a rogue? Zhou Xun's pretty face was turning red at the moment. How could things that were clearly understood be difficult to unravel? Well, Alan's singing was only heard last night. I laughed for a while and even turned off my microphone for a while. Why bother? Actually, it's quite joyful and good, which can be considered as giving me some inspiration. Please support, collect, vote, and pursue reading. We sincerely need to pursue reading. Thank you all. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Encounter again, have a meal together. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Encounter again, have a meal together, you, wait for me. The bus arrived, and Zhou Xun gave up his harsh words and got on the bus. Unfortunately, Bai Feng and Zhou Gongzi cannot ride together this time. Faced with harsh words from others, Bai Feng politely smiled. He is very clear in his heart, and when we see this smile on his face, we must be even angrier. Bai Feng is someone who understands psychology. I guess. She probably came to the brewery for an audition. Nowadays, when it comes to advertising, agents are still in the ascendant. When it comes to a TV advertisement, the manufacturer must take a closer look at the creative ideas and models in the advertisement. Bai Feng searched his memory and found that Mr. Zhou had never actually filmed any advertisements for this beer brand. She must have failed this audition. This shouldn't have had much to do with Bai Feng, but now he has inexplicably developed an interest. Just now, I completed a transaction for an advertisement. To put it bluntly, it was selling advertisements and matching seams. This is not consultation or advertising creativity. Marketing consulting and advertising sales, although both are related to advertising, have significant differences in their underlying logic. To put it bluntly, Bai Feng's skills are itching now. Consulting itself is like being a military strategist, and this matter you all know about chess stalls, those old masters are killing in a lively manner, but anyone who has squatted at the chess stall understands. Playing chess by oneself is not as satisfying as using moves. And those stinky chess baskets are just too smelly, that's why I play chess on my own. Whenever you turn on the TV and see advertisements from this era, our domestic advertisements really highlight a shoddy quality. Many of them are done by the store, which tells the audience what new products our store has. At the end of the advertisement, there is also a subtitle that tells the audience where the store is. There are even restaurants and bars with lively songs and dances. I won't go into detail. There are really very few high-quality advertisements in our country, and when we look at foreign advertisements, they are all movie-level visuals, such as Kodak. When it comes to the advertisement for Snow Beer, it seems that the most classic one is Brave Adventure, while the rest doesn't leave much impression. A beer brand has definitely filmed many advertisements, just like the advertisement for Qingdao beer a few decades ago, which was so exaggerated. Not only is it rich in various vitamins that can strengthen the body, but it can also treat beriberi, gastrointestinal diseases. Where is this beer? It's clearly Xianjia Yuye. The day before yesterday, I saw an advertisement from Central One called Sino-German beer, which directly claimed to have a history of 600 years and even claimed to be the best beer in the 1990s. This advertising slogan. You're breaking the law, okay? Okay, there is no advertising law yet. It seems that Kekshuang beer doesn't even have such a boastful advertisement, at least I don't remember. Isn't this a proper stinky chess basket? Bai Feng not only wants to play 2 moves, but also wants to personally play 2 sets. Thinking about it, the bus he was waiting for arrived. Bai Feng smiled and shook his head. The most crucial thing at the moment was to stifle the idea of Director Wang. Upon returning home, Bai Feng put away the 2 Hua Zi strips that had been reserved in the store. Well, this is a part of trust. It's also part of his 1,000 yuan, by the way, it's 1,500 yuan. Now Huazi is over 200 yuan, not cheap. Of course, this is what was intended as a gift. This is called business etiquette and is an essential part. Bai Feng originally asked for money to prepare for these. Even if he is reborn, it is still the reality of society. He is a cunning and scumbag at the age of 50, and he understands the reality of society too well. Put away huazi, take off the suit, and change into a dress that better suits high school graduates. Jumping vest with enlarged shorts. The weather in Xinjiang is not too hot yet. The college entrance examination is still in July, and the real summer has not started yet. However, wearing it this way makes it very comfortable at home. Not long after, my mom came back. Son, let's improve today. Ah. What to eat? Dang dang dang. Mom gave a grand introduction to the dubbing, revealing a pig's brain. Bai Feng frowned and said, "Can you make this thing? Once cooked, dip it in the seasoning." In fact, what Lu Qinghui is thinking is to eat what she needs to supplement. Isn't her son emotionally unstable? Related to the brain, of course, it's important to eat more pig brain. Bai Feng didn't understand his mother's good intentions for a moment, but felt that today's meal was likely to be ruined. Fortunately, he has something to ask. Mom, do you know some information about our mayor? Ah. How do you want to know all this? You must know that you've been working at the newspaper for so many years. What are you talking about, you stinky kid? What's the meaning of being a gangster? I'm a key member of the newspaper. Mom is really good, she quickly started talking. The next day, near Rume. Bai Feng didn't wear a suit, but he didn't look like a high school student either. Instead, he wore his father's work clothes. At the moment, he is eating an egg cake, which is called pancake fruit in Tianjin. Well, in Shenzhen, this thing is called egg cake. It is soft on the whole, with fruit inside but not crisp. As for other things, if people in Jinmen see it, they may swear to give you a cross-talk. This is probably the case in the Northeast, and even the later baked cold noodles are similar to this. After all, a small car that can make egg cakes must be able to make baked cold noodles. As for eating habits, they are indeed a bit unsightly. There's no way, last night's pig brain feast ruined the whole family. Finally, Mom didn't want face anymore and ordered 3 bowls of noodles. Bai Feng replenished his energy, his face turned pale, and he began to work. There is a labor market near Lume, where many people gather every day. Bai Feng came here, of course, to find someone. To be precise, he is here to recruit workers. But Bai Feng's recruitment was different from others. After eating the egg cake, he took out the prepared brand. There are only 2 words written on it. My surname is Wu. Woody, I've been on leave without pay for a few years now. There is no other reason, it's entirely because everyone is making money these days. Going to sea is a very popular term nowadays. After Wu Di went to sea, he opened a small restaurant, but soon it didn't work out. It's not very interesting to go back. These days, when I return to the factory, my salary is only 60%. It's better to look for a job in this place. Anyway, my wife ran away with her child, and I'm in my 30s with a rotten life. Today there is an extra weirdo here. Generally, recruiters use loudspeakers to shout, and many job seekers will come over to negotiate the price. Once they have agreed, they will board the car. Of course, there are also some small things to do, such as decorating a house, which are usually done by the family members coming out to find someone and being stingy. This person is strange because he is very young, not like a foreman or a woman. And the strangest thing is still the brand in his hand. Surname Wu. Is this his recruitment requirement? Wu Di has never seen such a job recruitment requirement before, so I have to ask what it is. Is it carpentry, water and electricity, or scraping the surface, right? But this person really caught his attention. After all, Woody meets the requirements. However, Woody didn't rush over and saw a few people approaching to ask. Finally, the person smiled and shook their head. Wu Di knows the people who asked, but none of them have the surname Wu. Is it because this surname is quite strange? Let's take a look at something else first. That's all, until the market was about to disperse in the afternoon, and Woody couldn't find a job. He saw that the person was still there. Why not give it a try? Do you want someone? Yes, it must be surnamed Wu. Bai Feng didn't expect it to be so difficult to find someone surnamed Wu, but it's okay, he still has time. At first, there were quite a few people asking, but later they all disappeared. Until the sun was about to set, finally someone came again, and the result, my surname is Wu, my name is Wu Di. Hello. Bai Feng extended his hand, which made the other person feel quite strange. Why did you hire someone like this? Wu Di means, of course, that this job requires the surname Wu. Bai Feng smiled and said, surname Wu is just the first requirement. The second one is, can you paint? Is it just paint? It's best to work at heights. As soon as his request came out, Wu Di hesitated for a moment. That's no problem, you're asking for quite a bit. Of course. But this surname Wu. Why is it ranked first? Bai Feng smiled and said, do you know Igong? As soon as these words came out, Woody was stunned fiercely. I used to be a one-steel flipper. Upon hearing this, Bai Feng simply pointed behind him. Do you dare to go up high? Wu Di followed suit and saw that it was the color TV tower. To be honest, he feels a bit uneasy in his heart, but how can he be cowardly now? What the hell is that? Anyway, fastening your seatbelt is safe. Bai Feng laughed heartily. It's you. Igong is the first steel plant, which later became famous for its loss-making street on the Northeast Road. And currently, the mayor of Xinjiang is surnamed Wu, who used to be from Igong. Bai Feng didn't expect to find a suitable person so quickly, but what he didn't expect was that when he was shaking hands with Wu Di, he saw a pair of eyes. As soon as these eyes met him, they immediately dodged. It's really haunting. Zhou Xun didn't expect to meet that guy again. Although I don't know the name of that guy yet, he has been referred to as an annoying ghost. Encounter it as soon as you meet it. Anyway, everyone is not familiar, so I can't leave yet. Zhou Xun thought very well, but she didn't expect to hear footsteps behind her soon. Why did she appear in this labor market? Bai Feng actually guessed the answer, but this answer made him unable to follow. This seems to be called an ending in the island country. But this time, the 50-year-old scumbag really doesn't have much to show off. Just. If the other party is fast, he is also fast, if the other party is slow, he is also slow. The mastery of this rhythm seems to demonstrate Bai Feng's talent for tailgating. Damn talent. Bai Feng didn't think much, he just followed behind the girl. I don't know how many streets I followed, but Zhou Xun stopped in his tracks. Follow me again, I'll call the police. After walking so far, the girl was sweating profusely. Bai Feng stood there, wanting to laugh, but he still held back. I actually want to help you. He really didn't lie. After listening to the news, Zhou even wanted to laugh. Help me. The girl didn't believe the guy in front of her at all. It's good if you don't bully me. Bai Feng felt a little helpless. I promise I won't bully you this time, okay? I want to help. My name is Bai Feng, you can call me Comrade Bai. In this era, calling oneself a comrade is not a problem, and this title seems to naturally carry a sense of security. Zhou Xun is still very cautious. He is really unfamiliar with the annoying ghost in front of him, and it turns out that his surname is Bai. Suddenly, there was a gurgling sound. The girl blushed instantly, and Bai Feng suppressed a smile, which was quite uncomfortable. As the sun sets in the west, the two of them feel embarrassed. How to break the game? Bai Feng still had many ways, he said with a smile, why don't I just fart, and then everyone will be equal. Puhaha. What are you talking about? Zhou Xun couldn't help but burst out laughing. Bai Feng also burst out laughing. Originally he was just joking on purpose. It's better to be embarrassed alone than to be embarrassed together. Look, why don't you just smile now? You. My surname is Zhou Xun. The girl was still a bit shy and wanted to laugh, but inexplicably felt that the annoying ghost in front of her was not as annoying anymore. Let's have a meal together, Bai Feng said directly before the girl could react. She grabbed someone's hand and left. In fact, he was hungry, so he ate an egg cake. Thank you for not letting down your original intention. Thank you for the 2019 151 reward. Thank you. Well, I really don't have much manuscript to save for the black car. During the new book period, I'll just update it twice a day. I'll try my best to update it as soon as possible. Thank you all for your support. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. The Taste of Summer in Northeast China. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. The Taste of Summer in Northeast China. In the same way, there are really significant differences in meaning in different places. Tell a man in the Northeast to give us our waists. He immediately baked 2 for you. If you tell a man in northern Myanmar, give us our waists. So he immediately, Bai Feng, what are you thinking? No, I didn't think much. You're weird. I really didn't think much of it. Indeed, the joke that Bai Feng just thought of was somewhat hellish, but the 2 grilled waists in front of him were real. Of course, not only 2 pieces of kidneys, but also mutton kebabs and spicy hot pot. Bai Feng didn't drag Zhou Xun to the restaurant. He could tell that the girl's guard was quite strong. This is also normal, after all, he is alone in a foreign land, and after all, Bai Feng is a stranger. So, Bai Feng took her to a night market, and in an open environment, her guard was not as strong as expected. To be honest, Zhou Xun had always wanted to break free from his hands, but probably because he was indeed hungry, he didn't do so. Fortunately, all the way there were people on the street, and this guy couldn't do anything. She didn't feel at ease until she sat on a small stool with a lot of food on the table in front of her. Isn't this spicy hot pot only available in Sichuan? Carefully picking up a piece of tofu foam inside and feeding it into her mouth, the soup that had crawled in was squeezed out again by her scalloped teeth, with a mixture of fresh and spicy flavors that rushed straight towards her taste buds. Delicious, really delicious. Did you audition at a brewery before? Young Master Zhou was stunned for an instant. She never expected this guy to know about this, so, you tell me. How long have you been following me? That's crazy, right? You. Bai Feng could completely see the anger of the little girl in front of him, but he really just wanted to help. The audition was not successful, was it? These words seemed to touch the scales of Duke Zhou. With a snap, the chopsticks hit the small table. Can't we not succeed? I didn't succeed. What's bothering you? But after venting like this, she calmed down again. How did you know? I guessed. Bai Feng handed over a lamb skewer with a smile. Guess what? Zhou Xun hesitated for a moment before taking it over to eat. I really guessed. That day, I was actually going to the brewery to find the supply and marketing department to handle business. I knew they were going to do advertising. Isn't summer coming soon? It will also get hot in northeast China, and there will definitely be many people drinking beer. You took a calendar before, and later appeared at a brewery. Of course, I guessed you were auditioning. Zhou Xun thought it was quite reasonable, but there was still something wrong. So how do you know I didn't succeed? Bai Feng smiled again and said, if you successfully auditioned, how could you come to this labor market? It's really a very simple reasoning. For Bai Feng, it hardly consumes any of his brain cells. But in Zhou Xun's opinion, the man in front of him is too smart. Both annoying and intelligent. However, this skewer of meat is so delicious. The current night market is also different from the later ones, which gave people a feeling of serious homogenization. It seems that no matter how many places you change, everything is the same. Even the night market itself is branded, and there are so-called internet celebrity products. Well, this is up to people like Bai Feng. Zhou Xun has no unnecessary ideas at all, she finds them very novel. There is a night market in her hometown, but Shenzhen is really a big city, and she has never seen many snacks in northeast China. It's like this grilled waste. She doesn't quite understand grilled skewers. When the old man saw them ordering this thing, his smile on his face was strange. I don't understand what it means, but this skewer of meat is very delicious. Why is this so delicious? The little girl's big eyes seemed to twinkle with stars. Bai Feng couldn't help but be surprised. You haven't eaten it, have you? Zhou Xun didn't lie, I've tried it before, but I've never tasted anything so delicious. Bai Feng smiled and said, Northeast barbecue, just dropped. At present it still doesn't have much fame, but in the future, it will indeed become famous nationwide without the need for marketing. It's really delicious. And it's really affordable. I remember there was another Beijing barbecue survey later, which became a hot topic on the internet. The price of a 2 yuan Northeast barbecue mutton skewer is the lowest in the spot check, but it rarely contains sheep DNA. Other skewers require more than 5 yuan to have sheep DNA. Actually, this is a business philosophy. Lamb skewers are now 5 skewers for 1 yuan, but if you eat too much, you must drink beer and add a cold dish to relieve the greasiness. Just say tomatoes mixed with white sugar, this dish costs 1 yuan. A tomato cut open with sugar will not cost more than 2 cents. If you don't make money by stringing, or if you earn less, you can earn from other sources, okay. Why are you stunned again? Oh, it's nothing. By the way, this iron signature is so strange. Zhou Xun, who had eaten a mouthful full of oil, stared at this iron stick and started studying it. Bai Feng smiled and said, can't you really see what this is? What? The front end is pointed, but the tail is curved, it's really strange. Bai Feng said helplessly, bicycle spokes. As soon as these words were spoken, Zhou Xun suddenly realized. This. She had a strange feeling, as if the lamb skewers were no longer fragrant. But Bai Feng picked up his waist and started making it, eating while saying, I haven't heard of high-temperature disinfection before. Besides, it must have been washed clean. If you don't want to eat it, just keep it for me. Upon hearing the news, Zhou's mind began to compete again. I'm just curious. Quickly pick up one, otherwise it might have been eaten by Bai Feng. Seeing her eating so tightly and looking petty, Bai Feng couldn't help but want to laugh. A spoke, cut in the middle, with one end sharpened by a machine, can yield 2 skewers of meat. There is a bicycle factory in Shenzhen, but the efficiency is not good now. Interestingly, after the closure, restaurants, bathhouses, and KTVs were opened on that land, but no matter what they opened or how big the brand was, the result was the same. It soon went bankrupt. Some people say that place is evil and it's useless for anyone to come. There's no need to worry about these spokes being unloaded from the bicycle. They should have been produced too much and cannot be sold at all. They should be disposed of as scrap. Thinking about it, Bai Feng also grabbed the opportunity to eat. This girl looks pretty, she eats with a small mouth. But to be honest, this iron skewer meat skewer has a special taste. The smell of rust. This flavor is not very strong, but mixed with the aroma of meat, charcoal fire, and seasoning, it is truly unforgettable. Later on, I really couldn't eat it anymore, probably because this type of sign didn't comply with hygiene regulations. But Bai Feng has always missed this taste. I can't help but think of a sentence that Lu Qin said. Winter in northeast China has a taste, and I may not be able to describe it in detail, but there are definitely many people who can understand it at first glance. Bai Feng wants to say. The summer in northeast China also has a taste. This grilled skewers with a rusty taste are like this city, with an industrial flavor of human fireworks. For yuan lamb kebabs, 2 yuan kidney, 1 yuan tomato mixed with sugar, 3 yuan spicy hot pot sent 2 large steamed rolls. Spicy hot pot is old style. Well, it can't be said to be old style now, but it is pure vegetarian, and even a star of meat is not authentic. In this era, there is no such thing as spicy hot pot, which was popular later. So, this meal costs 10 yuan and focuses on a healthy diet with a combination of meat and vegetables. Bai Feng ate well, and Zhou Xun had a round belly. Just finished eating, this girl has some regrets. Did it look too ugly just now? Will he laugh at me? Bai Feng didn't show much performance, he was just quite curious. Aren't you planning to talk about the audition? Zhou Xun was a bit strange, didn't you guess everything? I didn't succeed. What are your plans after that? Well. Zhou Xun actually wanted to say that I plan to find a job to make money, but Bai Feng also guessed before. But Bai Feng continued, didn't you think about summarizing the failed auditions? Zhou Xun frowned. She actually attended an art school, so in this regard, she is also a professional. Can't you still guide me, this guy? Bai Feng actually wanted to say this, I saw you taking a calendar before, and it was indeed me who looked at you first. Upon hearing Zhou's news, there was a feeling of being deeply wronged, it was already. You look at me, I look at you, this damn game, you're clearly the one who started. However, Bai Feng had no sense of remorse from the initiator and even smiled, I actually feel that the smile you had at the time really didn't suit you. As soon as these words were spoken, Zhou Xun was stunned. She has never heard of this kind of statement before, not even the teacher or the photography teacher. She has taken many calendars, and even the covers of movies and magazines, all with this kind of smile. And what she didn't expect was Bai Feng's next words. Have you ever thought that you would become a movie queen in the future? Becoming a movie queen. To be honest, Zhou Xun never really thought about it. I am only 16 this year, and although I have entered an art school, it is only equivalent to a vocational high school. How far away is the movie queen from her? It feels like the earth is so far from the sun. I have only taken some calendars myself, which is completely unrelated to movies and TV dramas. Although I have thought about appearing in some movies and TV dramas in the future, I dare not think about being a movie queen or something like that. But, I never thought about answering directly. Does this seem too timid? Moreover, it seems like we have lost to this guy Bai Feng. Shouldn't answering questions be honest? Just as Zhou Xun was struggling, Bai Feng seemed to see it. You haven't really thought about it, have you? This statement, like a provocation, reminded Zhou Xun of a famous quote. A general who doesn't want to be a soldier is not good. It seems like something's wrong, but what about him? Who said I didn't think about it? Of course I did. After Zhou Xun said it, she felt very satisfied. The earliest time it was after school in elementary school, there was a skewer seller right at the door. If there was only 1 or 2 yuan left in my pocket, it would all turn into skewers. Perhaps the meat wasn't as delicious, but it had a slightly rusty taste that I still remember. In addition, recently I always eat the online red spicy hot pot, with a lot of mahjong and sugar. It's really good to be greasy, but after eating it, I gain weight and my stomach is getting bigger and bigger. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Plays the role of a movie queen named Zhou Xun. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9 plays the role of a movie queen named Zhou Xun. Since you feel good about it, of course you should continue to feel good. I want to be a movie queen in the future. I will definitely make many, many movies and TV dramas. I want to win awards. I want to earn a lot of money. Sure enough, the more you say, the more satisfying it becomes. But Bai Feng interjected, but it seems difficult to see what you look like now. It was as if a thorn had pierced in, and if it had been before, she would have immediately shrunk. But in front of Bai Feng, she just doesn't want to give up. Of course it's difficult. But no matter how difficult it is, I'll give it a try. Bai Feng couldn't help but praise, this momentum is very good. Hee hee. Zhou Xun smiled and laughed laughingly before crying again. It's a bit strange. Is there anything difficult? After all, Bai Feng is a cunning middle-aged man. Zhou Xun wiped away his tears and said, "You're too smart. It seems like you can't hide anything from me." Bai Feng directly pointed out, "Do you want money?" Zhou Xun didn't dodge this time and simply nodded. In fact, the previous events have already exposed the fact that Lord Zhou needs money. Bai Feng speculates that this money may have special significance for her. I can't help you too much, but I believe you can get through this difficult time. Bai Feng is quite honest, after all, he knows the future of the girl in front of him. But hearing this in Zhou Xun's ear is different. The guy in front of me is trying to comfort himself. Thank you. That's what I should say, isn't it? However, Bai Feng felt that this thank you was not quite right, as if the two of them had not met. Do you want to hear my advice? What advice? As I mentioned before, that kind of smile doesn't suit you. But many teachers feel very satisfied. Are any of them well-known directors? No, they're not big directors, but you're not even that. Zhou Gongzi made it clear whether he believed it or not, Bai Feng. Well, he actually knows some photography, but that doesn't prevent him from fooling the girl in front of him. Bai Feng's face showed an inexplicable expression, can't I give you advice just because I'm not a big director? I thought we were friends. There's nothing special about this, but when paired with his expression, the key is that friend's words. After Zhou Xun heard this, the little girl actually felt a sense of guilt. It seems like not listening to Bai Feng's advice is a crime. Moreover, they even invited themselves to have a barbecue and had a full meal. No, I definitely didn't mean that. At this moment, Zhou Xun looked like a little girl who had made a mistake. In Bai Feng's eyes, this guy was about to burst into laughter. He did indeed use a certain amount of language, which is usually used in consultations. So, are we friends now? Bai Feng's question was really straightforward. Zhou Xun's face turned red, but she couldn't provide any other answer. Of course it is. As soon as Bai Feng looked at her, he knew he had succeeded. My suggestion is actually very simple. Since you dream of becoming a movie queen in the future, why don't you start playing an actor named Zhou Xun from now on, who is a movie queen and a big star? Ah! Zhou Xun was confused and swore that she had never heard such a suggestion in her life, and even such a statement was incredibly fresh. The change in Bai Feng's expression towards her was completely predictable. Postcast Zhou News. She is confident, artistic, tasteful, and very approachable. Her acting skills are excellent, and her knowledge may not be rich enough, but she is also very humble. What she doesn't understand is that she doesn't understand and won't speak recklessly. Zhou Xun was completely shocked by Bai Feng's words, and she was completely dumbfounded. What Bai Feng said was actually something that someone had described Liang Qiuwei before. That is to say, Liang Qiuwei started playing an actor named Liang Qiuwei very early on. This statement is very interesting, but it is also very reasonable. If you understand drama theory, you will immediately think of Stanislavski's experiential theory. As for avoiding academic shortcomings. In the entertainment industry, who sets the academic achievers up and who collapses? This really. Zhou Xun's brainstorming paused for a moment, and she lowered her head, somewhat doubting whether she could succeed. Bai Feng immediately interrupted her and said, "What is the first quality of the celebrity actress Zhou Xun that I just mentioned?" Zhou Xun suddenly looked up, as if there was light in his eyes, confident. Bai Feng nodded, but immediately shook his head. You don't even know how to act without confidence, do you? Can confidence and acting be together? Zhou Xun smiled at the moment and said, then teach me. Bai Feng also smiled and said, confidence is something. You've heard of a word when you come to northeast China, haven't you? What? Zhou Xun certainly doesn't know which word it is. Pretend to be forced, Bai Feng said somewhat rudely. Pushy, Zhou Xun couldn't resist. Bai Feng continued, first of all, it should be clear that confidence is not about pretending to be forced, but rather a feeling of relaxation. Relaxation. Zhou Xun had never heard of such a statement before. When I was in school, the teacher certainly said about confidence, but it doesn't seem like there was a very profound explanation of what confidence is. Bai Feng, however, was very patient. This kind of relaxation is, imagine that this night market is no longer a night market, but a wilderness. You sit by the mountain, watching the impermanence of life. Watching people come and go, watching clouds roll and stretch. Do not follow people, do not follow the clouds. He has his good qualities, I have mine. In short, by adopting a relaxed mindset to cope with changes outside of oneself, the feeling you give others is confidence. Zhou Xun's eyes widened as he listened, as if she had been brought into his context by Bai Feng. That's a wonderful world, and she really fully understood the meaning in Bai Feng's words. So, pretending to be forced is very stiff. So, confidence is relaxed. Bai Feng even gave applause, which made Zhou Xun blush again. But to be honest, Bai Feng was also surprised because there was only a 16-year-old girl in front of him. He didn't have the confidence to let a 16-year-old person understand what he was saying, but looking at Zhou Xun's eyes, it was clear that she understood. No wonder she will become a movie queen. Bai Feng thought this way, but Zhou Xun suddenly said something. If I follow your advice, shouldn't I also listen to your advice? I should be confident. Sure, Bai Feng smiled, but by saying so, it actually means that you have been influenced by my suggestion. This logic is not complicated, as Zhou Xun himself said, according to what you said. Just Zhou Gongzi didn't react for a moment, and when she figured it out, she burst out laughing again. Bai Feng also laughed along, but a paradox emerged in his heart. What just happened can be seen as a consultation. However, Zhou Xun would have been the queen of the film, even without Bai Feng's advice, and without this consultation, she would still be the queen of the film. So, is Bai Feng's consultation useful or useless? Or, perhaps the world after rebirth has changed, and without Bai Feng's consultation, Zhou Xun would just be an ordinary woman who has taken a calendar. This can indeed be said to be a paradox, even Bai Feng couldn't unravel it for a moment. It's okay, let's just practice. Marketing planning is not just about physical goods, or cultural products such as movies, TV shows, and variety shows. In fact, life also requires marketing and planning. 2 days later, Xingong Street. Bai Feng returned to the city brewery wearing a suit. He needs to sign the contract today and get the job of painting. It can also be seen as a decisive battle. The first important battle after his rebirth. Director Wang is in a meeting, it should be almost finished. Please wait a moment. Good Bai Feng followed Director Wang's assistant to his office, and this time it can be considered a return to the old place. However, his current state of mind is completely different, and he is even a bit nervous. To be honest, he wouldn't even glance at the hundreds of thousands of orders before his rebirth. Leave it to your subordinates, they should let this mosquito meat out and even help the newcomers negotiate. But now it's really different, this is the first bucket of gold after rebirth. At this moment, Bai Feng saw some photos on the coffee table in Director Wang's office, which inevitably aroused curiosity. At a rough glance, they are all beautiful women. Take a closer look, fake smile girl. Bai Feng picked out the one from Zhou Xun, which was completely consistent with her style of taking a calendar. He couldn't help but laugh. After that meal, Bai Feng didn't ask too much about her, so whether Zhou Gongzi went back or continued to audition and shoot advertisements in Shenzhen, he really wasn't quite sure. However, this advertisement for Snow Beer should have missed her chance, Brother Bai. Ah, Brother Wang. At this moment, Chief Wang returned and the two of them quickly started chatting. Their topic has little to do with the TV tower advertisement, they talk nonsense and neglect their work. But Bai Feng is very clear that this is actually the real business negotiation. Many people actually don't know that when business talks to a certain extent, for example, the CEOs of both companies are already in contact, so they usually rarely talk about the business itself. On the contrary, it seems like gossip between friends, and often the more interesting the conversation, the smoother the business will be. This is really very reasonable. There are many professional things about a business that have been discussed before, or the other party has already conducted their own investigation. So the most crucial thing is to trust each other. The whole world is actually like this. China has a dining culture, while foreign countries also have cocktail parties. They have more variety, such as playing golf together or taking Epstein's plane together. Bai Feng was chatting with Director Wang, and the topic finally came to the advertisement, but Director Wang was also an interesting person. Look at the photo I just saw, do you know me? This question sparked an idea in Bai Feng's mind. I've seen it before. She has taken many wall calendars, and she was still taking them at Lao Dai's place before. Director Wang frowned and said, I see, it's just that this girl is too young to be suitable for our beer advertisement. Bai Feng naturally knew that Director Wang and his team were going to shoot a TV advertisement for beer, but at this moment he had to put on a bit of surprise, and then. Wang, I have some research on advertising, and for our Snow Beer, I thought about an advertising idea before, but Wang, you. Upon hearing this, Chief Wang smiled and said, this is a great idea. Can you tell me? If this idea is good, then let's just shoot it like this. Bai Feng also smiled, and his move was finally about to play chess. Thank you for time 1979, thank you for giving me many tips, and thank you all for your support. Request for tickets, collection, and follow. Up reading. I heard that kind of evaluation of Chow Wei before, and the black car thought it was quite interesting. After careful consideration, I think it is indeed quite interesting. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Brush 8 words and get 300000. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Chapter 10. Brush 8 words and get 300000. The so-called idea is actually what people call marketing planning in this era. Ye Maozhong himself has also said that early advertisers did not have much marketing concept. Shooting an advertisement or giving marketing advice to a manufacturer is called an idea. The idea that Bai Feng said this time specifically refers to this advertisement. It's just his advertisement, it's actually extraordinary. Brother Wang, my advertisement is very simple. Oh, how simple is it? My personal suggestion is to limit the duration of the advertisement to around 30 seconds. It's best to find a man and a woman, both of whom should be young and look around 20 years old. This is easy to handle, but don't worry, my advertisement is like this, you can understand it as soon as you listen. Oh my, buddy, hurry up, I'm already anxious. Okay, here we go. Bai Feng began to share his idea, which was indeed very simple as he said. A young man or a young woman can only be one person when leaving the country, dressed casually because their faces are the main objects of view. The background should be green, which is the color of our beer bottles. The filming requirement is that they must smile towards the camera, have sweat on their faces, and the camera must capture the sweat. At the same time, they must hold a beer bottle from our factory and place it next to their face. This is a shot. The next scene is to splash their heads with water. At this point, Bai Feng stopped. He stopped, which surprised Chief Wang very much. Chief Wang was still waiting for the next step and foolishly looked at Bai Feng for a while. That's it, that's it. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Wang, I said it before, my idea was very simple. Bai Feng chuckled and said, the expression on Chief Wang's face is really unbearable. In fact, since the first meeting, Chief Wang has had many thoughts about Bai Feng. He naturally asked Lao Dai, and Lao Dai's answer was also very simple. A friend's child. The idea for this TV tower advertisement was conceived by this kid. I specifically wanted to discuss this advertisement with your brewery. It's all true, of course Chief Wang can tell. Can this Bai Feng be such a simple person? Chief Wang still remembers the last paragraph of the meeting that day, as if it were vivid in his mind. This kid is just so straightforward about painting that job. Absolutely not an ordinary person, absolutely not. Now, Director Wang has heard such a simple advertising idea again that he doesn't even consider it creative. Nowadays, advertisements need some copywriting, right? What about the advertising slogans? Brother, doesn't this advertisement require advertising language? Director Wang's question is actually related to professionalism. Of course, Bai Feng could hear it, but he was extremely confident. Brother Wang, if our brewery wants to add an advertising slogan, then it's not a problem. You can make a side tone, There you go. Snow-covered beer, cool summer. So simple. Director Wang has now been very shaken by Bai Feng's advertising idea, questioning its professionalism. Bai Feng naturally saw all of this in his eyes and smiled. Brother Wang, the key to this advertisement is. What can you think of with a green background? Suddenly asked, Chief Wang frowned and said, didn't you say everything about the color of our beer bottles? Bai Feng nodded and said, so, the advertising model has sweat on her face. What can you think of? Chief Wang was a bit skeptical, but he still said, is it hot? Summer. By the way. Bai Feng said that your answer was correct, and then continued, so, how would you feel when a basin of cold water splashes on your face? A sentence of spirit. Director Wang replied naturally and added, a cool sentence of spirit. Bai Feng smiled and said, is it refreshing to be splashed with cold water in the summer? Great. Great. Director Wang naturally agreed. And at this moment a person holding our snowy beer appeared in the summer, and in the next shot, the beer was gone. The person was splashed with ice water, and he was very happy. Upon hearing this, Chief Wang was taken aback and said, this. He thought of something, but it was a bit vague. Bai Feng said timely, this advertisement may seem simple, but it completes a psychological suggestion. This suggestion is. In the scorching summer, drinking our snow beer is as refreshing as being splashed with cold water. Upon hearing this, Chief Wang suddenly realized, wow. That's exactly the feeling, but this. Wait a moment. Brother, wouldn't it be good to give the model a sip of wine? His question made Bai Feng smile again. Brother Wang, have you ever heard of the idiom looking for a plum to quench thirst? As soon as he said this, Chief Wang gave his thigh a hard pat. Yes. That's it. You can't drink it. Oh my, this advertisement is amazing. It's just amazing. The term psychological suggestion may sound very lofty in this era, but in reality, it's really not new. Heaven does not give birth to me. Chinese civilization, humanity will last forever like a long night. Watching plums makes one's mouth water, while this time Bai Feng is trying to associate snow beer with a cool feeling. Director Wang understood all of this and naturally understood the intricacy of this advertisement. But it's not over yet. The key to this advertisement is to establish the connection between our snow beer and the feeling of coolness, in order to make people think of the feeling of cold water hitting their heads when they see snow beer. Of course, this requires a lot of effort. There must be a process from quantitative change to qualitative change. When a qualitative change is achieved, consumers will unconsciously choose us among many brands when they see Snow beer, okay? That. In terms of modeling, it's better to be younger. I understand. Director Wang is indeed proficient in the business. Haha. I flattered you, brother. Bai Feng is not flattering indiscriminately, he does see that Chief Wang has already figured out the role of model age. People's preference for alcohol products, regardless of whether it is white beer, is mainly to drink one type or brand by a certain grade, and the rest is just a seasoning. So, the older customer base is very stable, and conversely, it is difficult to compete for older consumers. And many beer advertisements mostly feature young models. Competing for young people is more cost-effective and also easier to succeed. Bai Feng's simple advertisement not only has psychological implications, but also takes into account many details of the target consumer group. Director Wang is not an idiot who doesn't understand anything, he quickly understood how excellent this advertisement is. But there are some details, this splashing of water. Up, down, left, and right, in all directions. Anyway, let's sprinkle it a few more times. Then cut it again and see if a few more times are more suitable. Brother, you have great ideas. In fact, in the future, there will be a lot of such psychological suggestion advertisements, but some advertisements are not taken as psychological suggestions by people. If you don't accept gifts during holidays this year, just accept XXX. This advertisement is actually a psychological suggestion, but it is simply an indication. Just keep repeating this phrase in the consumer's ear, and when it comes to choosing a gift, the effect will come out. Consumers may find this advertisement tacky and low quality, but the effect is very good, and the advertiser is extremely fond of it. Later on, hinting was truly hinting. For example, Leiby, they just found beautiful celebrities such as Reba and Clara, wearing green clothes, and in summer. Clara even showed off her figure, indeed, wealthy and generous. After drinking Leiby, I drizzled water, and the water droplets were snow-white. Roll, roll, roll. Bai Feng was well aware that the current social order and good customs did not allow this, so he suggested throwing a face. As for this advertisement, Bai Feng is just a technical itch, and he doesn't care whether it will be adopted by Snow Beer in the end. After all, it is normal for them to not understand the concept of transcending the times. Brother Wang, let's talk about business. Bai Feng took out the contract documents. Director Wang really appreciates this advertising idea, but he still feels a bit reluctant about the current contract. The production cost of 300,000 yuan, making it for someone else, is really heartbreaking. But at this moment, Bai Feng made a strange move by pointing his index finger at a spot on the document. Brother Wang, you really have to give me this painting job. His tone completely changed, it was the kind of emotionless. Painting on this color TV tower is quite difficult, and the job is highly dangerous. It's not possible without finding reliable people. A reliable person. Chief Wang couldn't help but pay attention to this statement, and he also saw clearly what was written on Bai Feng's index finger. A name caught the eye. Wu Di. This name is similar to our mayor not only by name, it is also noted that the former worker at the first iron and steel plant, who later left the factory to start a business, has senior experience in building exterior wall painting. Gang, isn't that Chief Wang's forehead was sweating slightly, but at that moment, Bai Feng took out something again. Those two Huazi. You have to take these 2 cigarettes, Brother Wang. We are our own people. After hearing these words, Chief Wang hesitated no longer and immediately stopped smoking and signed the contract. Bai Feng naturally signed a big name, and this business was finally completed here. Chief Wang chuckled and said, Brother, don't worry about this matter. I'll call you over immediately. Our brewery's efficiency has just dropped, and we will definitely hand over a satisfactory answer sheet to the people of the whole city this summer. Bai Feng naturally laughed along and said, Brother Wang, the word Snow White beer will definitely be on the color TV tower before the end of July. Our brewery is absolutely fine. In no time, our Snow White beer will definitely become popular nationwide. Right, right. Strive for the 3 provinces in the east. Travel all over China. Break out of Asia. Go global. What my brother said is too good. These 2 people are hooked up like brothers. What's going on? Our Chinese is really wonderful, and in many cases, the order of arrangement does not affect the expression of meaning. Before Bai Feng's words, it was actually like this. Brother Wang, if you put away these 2 cigarettes, we will be our own people. The advertising idea was a psychological suggestion, but in fact, Bai Feng had been giving this psychological suggestion to Director Wang from the beginning. I am from the mayor. Ahem, if you're interested, you can take a look at the advertisement for Leibi. They have big corporations and big budgets, as well as a foreign version of a beautiful celebrity in Ishui. Please support, follow up on reading, collect and vote, thank you very much. End of this chapter.